All right, guys, we are back, and we are back with a big one. This is the One Championship 1X preview show. My name is Keith Shillan. I am a staff member for Sherdog.com. If you're not familiar with 1X, what 1X is, it's One Championship's 10-year anniversary card, and they loaded this one. It goes down this Saturday, March 26th. If you're in the USA like I am, you can head over to the One Championship website at 8 a.m. Eastern time to check out the action. The card is loaded. It's put into three parts. There's MMA, there's Muay Thai, there's grappling, there's a mixed combat sports bout, mixed rules bout, I guess you could call it. There's a lot we can go over. Guys, I'm not going to cover the entire thing. I mean, we'd be here all day. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover the grand finale, the big one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the MMA fights, guys. I'm not as comfortable covering kickboxing. I don't follow the sport as close as I should. If you're into kickboxing, there's two huge kickboxing backs. There is that mixed rules match with Rodtang and Demetrious. I'll sprinkle some thoughts on that, but mostly I'm going to focus on the three big fights for this huge card that I'm really looking forward to. So without further ado, let's get right into the action, and we're getting right into the action with I don't want to say a grudge match, but a match that Shinya Aoki asked for. He asked for Yoshihiro Akiyama, Akiyama better known as Sexyama. Let's be honest, this isn't these two guys in their prime, these two legendary fighters, but it's still a fun fight to see these two guys step in the cage. Excuse me, guys, I have a little bit of a cold. And this is going to be a crowd-pleasing one as two legends get to go to battle. Shinya Aoki, he has almost 60 fights. I mean, he's held titles in every organization. It seems like One Championship, Dream, Shudo, Whamma, and a bunch of others. He is truly one of the greatest grapplers ever in the history of MMA. And the thing about him, all these accomplishments, he's still only 38 years old, and he's not done. I mean, he's won 8 of his last 9 fights. He's beat some good guys in that run too, so it's not like he's just beating up cans and they're feeding him fights. I mean, James Nakashima is a really good fighter. That was one of them. On the feet, he's a southpaw whose boxing is pretty limited. He's always been that way. He's always been a guy he lacks one punch knockout power. He has a couple knockouts on his record, but that's not what he's known for. But he throws a lot of kicks. He uses it to close the distance though, as he wants to get the fight to the ground, where he just absolutely shines. I mean, he's got 30 submissions on his record. He is truly elite grapplers. He can get a sub from every position, like I said, and he's submitting good guys. He submitted James Nakashima. He submitted Edward Fuliang in his last fight. That's a really good win, and he made it look really easy. He's a good wrestler, good entries. He's a judo black belt, so he can get inside, get trips, get throws. Or if he can't get the fight around, he'll just jump to guard, use his dexterity of his legs just to wrap around his opponent. But if he's on top, he just slowly inches, laces the legs, and then attacks for a single limb, and eventually he's going to find a submission. Now move over to Sexyama. He's 46 years old. He's been very inactive. He's fought twice in 6 years. Obviously, this guy always has other things going on, always out there in the world doing exciting things. But when we last saw him fight, he showed that he can still scrap. I mean, he still has power in his hands. He knocked out Sharif Muhammad in his last fight. He really sits on his punches, has hard leg kicks. One mistake he does, and this probably is because of getting up there in age, and it might have a little more to do with his cardio, reserving some of the gas tank. He tends to throw single strikes, though it should be noted also that while he throws single strikes, and that was one negative. Another negative is he was dropped in that fight against Muhammad early, and that was because Akiyama was backing straight up and didn't really like the pressure. But he we're just talking about striking. What he didn't show in his last fight is his grappling, and which has always been his strength. Akiyama is a judo black belt, competed in some extremely high level competition, won some extremely high level judo competitions. He's a very physically strong man. I mean, you look at him, the guy's shredded, still at 46, is still in incredible shape, absolutely ripped. And he's got 7 submission wins. Now, as far as the prediction goes, it's much easier to trust Shinya Aoki at this point. He's been so much more active. He's beaten the better competition lately. And if we're being honest, throughout his entire career, I mean, Shinya Aoki is one of the greatest fighters from this region ever. I think he's going to do what Shinya Aoki does. I think he's going to throw a lot of kicks from the outside, eventually close the distance. Might have a little trouble getting down Akiyama, but once he does... obviously, Akiyama is a very accomplished grappler himself, but I've learned to stop doubting Shinya Aoki's submission skills. Like, even though a guy is extremely accomplished, Shinya Aoki finds a way to get a submission. I'm going to say Aoki does it. I'm going to say he does it in the very first round, probably a rear naked choke. So give me Shinya Aoki to get the win over the guy that he called to fight after his last fight. Now we get into the title fights. We have Adrian Moraes defending his title against Yuya Wakamastu. Really fun fight. Moraes coming off that knockout win over Demetrious Johnson, kind of made himself a household name over here in America. He's a long and lengthy striker. He's very big for the weight class. Fights really well from distance too. Works behind a busy jab. His boxing is a bit unorthodox because he keeps his hands wild and he throws kind of from weird angles, but it becomes effective. His athleticism really just makes up for it. He's very explosive. He likes calf kicks, though he doesn't really check leg kicks. Going back a couple fights ago, he had his own legs taken out by Estaquai. I think I'm sorry, I'm struggling with the guy's name. That it's a really tough name, but he did have his leg kicked out. He also makes a mistake of keeping his chin a little high. But he's a fantastic grappler too. He's fast entries, reactionary double legs, incredible back takes. He has 9 submission wins on his record. He had a Sulu F stretch recently in a fight, which you gotta like. One thing I don't like is he can be super aggressive chasing a submission, something actually we're going to talk about later in the main event. One of the fighters who's a submission threat does the same thing. But he has shown that he has a cardio to go all 25 minutes. He's been a champion for a long time now. So he's got a lot of good, not just experience, but good experience, high-level experience. Move over to Wakamastu. Wakamastu is only 27 years old, probably just entering his prime years, Japanese fighter. He's a really good athlete. Like, he's fast on the feet. He's a very polished striker, throws hard hooks. He loves his overhand right. His right hand is really, really accurate. He's got power. He can tend to dive into his shots a little bit and can get a little wild, which I don't like, but that's because he's just trying to end the fight with every single blow. I like that he looks for elbows inside. He's got a strong plunge clinch. Can wrestle. He can wrestle. He can get some upper body takedowns. Has some pretty strong takedown defense. But if he's taken down and he's put on his back, he really struggles to get back up. He's not much of a submission threat, and he has been submitted in the past. I mean, like Reese McLaren couldn't get a sub over him, so that's a good thing. And Reese McLaren's a really good grappler. So as far as prediction goes, I mean, this Wakamastu's tough, but the confidence that Adriano Moraes must be carrying in after beating a true legend, one of the greatest mixed martial artists. Some people think the greatest mixed martial artist, Demetrious Johnson. It just seems like his time. He's really showed that he's one of the best guys in the world. I think he worked. He's got a little bit of length on Wakamastu. I think he worked from the outside and then just close his distance, get his takedowns. I think he can. He'll ride him out for a while. And then I'm going to say he gets a submission. I'm going to say he gets a late submission. I'm going to say he gets a submission in the 4th round after wearing out Wakamastu. Before we get into the main event, let's talk about the Demetrious Johnson Rodtang fight for a second. The mixed rules, the Muay Thai versus MMA. I mean, this fight is wild. I mean, at this point, I'm sure if you're watching this broadcast, you have an opinion on this fight. You either love the concept or you hate it. I'm not going to try to convince you either way at this point. If you love it, you see it as two of the best fighters in their respective sports, battling, something very unique, something we didn't think we'd ever see. You might think it's innovative. That's cool. If you hate it, you probably think it's gimmicky. Whatever. If it's not for you, it's okay. One championship still has you covered. Is this card is loaded, especially, get through it. You get to the main event, which is, there's no way you can't like that fight. As far as predictions go, anybody who says they're very confident in their prediction, I mean, how can you be confident? It's so different than we've seen. I mean, the obvious lazy breakdown, and that's what I'm going to go with, is the first round and third round, Rodtang has a huge, massive advantage. And the second and fourth round, DJ has. What I think we're probably going to get is we're going to get a more aggressive fighter from both of them moving forward, because they know that the fighter in the round that is in their style is not going to want to waste time and give their opponent an out to get to their style. So I don't think we're going to see much failing out. I think the Muay Thai striker Rodtang is going to be coming out throwing hard bombs, trying to take DJ's head off, and then DJ in the second round will be looking to wrestle early, trying to move past guard, take his back, look for submissions. So I want to say this before if I've said, I think I have his name right, Rodtang. If I'm not a Muay Thai guy, if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, I apologize. I'm not going to pretend like I know too much about him. I've seen some of his fights. He can really crack. DJ has put himself in a little bit of a disadvantage, being that Rodtang has the open round, being Muay Thai. But I have so much confidence in DJ. He's always showed that he's one of the most intelligent fighters. I think he finds a way to survive, then gets it to the second round and does what DJ does. I think he gets a takedown. I think he submits Rodtang. So give me DJ in the second round. But if you like to bet, don't bet on this one. It's just enjoy it for what it is. Because you really shouldn't have any confidence. Now move on to the main event. The main event is absolutely fantastic. I think it's one of the best fights of the weekend. I think it's one of the best fights of the year, as we have Angela Lee finally returning after giving childbirth. I think it's been 2 years since we last seen her, taking on Stamp Fairtex, who just won the Grand Prix tournament to earn the title shot against Angela Lee. Lee is, despite being out for a while, she's only 25. She's at the age where she can make huge jumps in improvement. We could see a completely different fighter from Angela Lee that we last saw. And the last one we saw was really damn good. We could see an even more impressive one. She's big for the weight class. She's always been like taller, longer, lengthy one. She's extremely aggressive on the feet. She cuts the cage off well. Her pace is a true strength. She showed that she can go hard all 25 minutes, keeps her foot on the gas pedal. Her last fight, I mean, she got a submission with 10 seconds left. I mean, that's the kind of fighter she was. She was looking to get a finish in the fifth round in a very competitive fight. Striking-wise, she does have some holes that maybe since she's been away, she's kind of cleaned up. One is she lacks head movement. She's a very hittable person. But to her credit, her chin is really good. She eats shots and continues to move forward, trying to constantly take ground on her opponent. She will shoot entries, but most of her takedowns come from the upper body takedowns. And though I hate that she looks for like a headlock, like that's one thing I hate about her grappling. If she gets the fight to the ground, she's a huge submission threat. She can get subs from anywhere. She has a large arsenal of different subs. I was looking over her fight racket. She has a couple of rear naked chokes, anaconda. She's got a twister, an armbar. The one thing I don't like, and I said this about Adriano Moraes that she does too, she'll chase a sub that isn't there. She'll lose position trying to secure a sub. Well, obviously sometimes she'll get a submission doing that. It also gives her opponent opportunities to kind of escape or land, strikes and do damage from the top. Now, Stamp Fairtex, she's a very crisp striker. She's a Muay Thai specialist. She's a counter striker. She has that Muay Thai, a little bit of a stationary target, but she turns her hips over fast. Fast hands, beautiful jab, good power. I love that she targets the body, digs the body. She throws kicks to set up her punches, then follow up to set up her kicks. She's constantly changing up her attacks. Lots of leg kicks. You get in close, she's looking for like slicing elbows. Has really improved as a grappler. She's stuffed a lot of takedown attempts during in the tournament. She showed that. Go back to the Rosiana fight where she had the back and actually mounted her. She actually went for a Google plotter in their first fight, and then over to the Rutu Fogat, who's a really good wrestler. She stuffed some takedowns in there. When she was taken down, she ended up getting an armbar. And she's only 24, so she's at the point, and she's getting much newer to the sport of mixed martial arts from the Muay Thai background. I can just see her continuing to get better and better. So as far as prediction goes, even though Lee has gotten better as a striker, and even though Stamp has gotten better on the ground, I still think it's safe to say that, and actually I should say this, not only have they gotten better, they become serious threats in both Lee on the feet and Fairtex on the ground. I think it's safe to say that Lee should have a huge advantage on the ground. Stamp should have a huge advantage on the feet. Stamp is going to have to find a way to overcome the size advantage, as Lee's going to be much bigger. But I think she does. If Lee hasn't improved her head movement, Stamp is going to piece her up. I like her style. I see her doing a lot of the majority of the damage on the feet. I see her stuffing takedowns, maybe landing some in-close quarter strikes, and eventually getting back to space, just racking up those points. And I'm going to go really bold. I mean, Angela Lee's showed in her last fight that she can take a beat and keep going. I'm going to say it's going to be too much. I say Stamp's going to actually catch her. I think Stamp's going to win. We're going to have a new champion. I think she's going to get a 4th round TKO. So there you guys have it. I don't look at the betting lines because this isn't a gambling show, but I'm assuming Stamp is probably the underdog in that, so I took the underdog in the main event. Before I close up, if I said any fighter's name wrong, guys, I struggle with Russian names. I struggle with some Asian fighters' names. I apologize. I don't mean to disrespect anybody if I got their names wrong. But most importantly, guys, please like, please share, and most of all, leave some comments. Leave some comments. Hit me up on Twitter at Keith Shillan MMA on Twitter. We'll talk about the fights. And I hope you enjoy this huge, massive card.